first of all, I just want to say how excited I am to be having the camera out again. It is so nice after having such a long break over Christmas, a long unexpected break to be honest, but for being gone for so long it is really, really exciting to just be sat here and doing it again. So I've got all that new feels about it again, so I'm really excited about it. But because I have had such a long break, unfortunately, I thought it'd be a good idea to get back into it by having a coffee and a catch up with everybody, and just letting you know basically what happened over my Christmas and New Year that prevented me from sharing everything like I was hoping to. So I'll just get straight into it because Killian is now having a sleep, and he wouldn't sleep this morning, so it's later than expected, and whenever he's gotten himself overtired he doesn't nap very well, so I'm not expecting him to nap for very long. So here's to hoping I actually get through this video without him making an appearance. But first of all, I just wanted to say I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and a very happy New Year. Mine had its good and bad moments. We definitely had some days that were really nice to spend with other members of the family and everything else, like that was really nice. But we had very poorly boys over Christmas. First of all, on the run up to Christmas, I think about 3 days beforehand, Archie had gotten quite ill, where he was running really high temperatures, over 39 at the highest. So we were really, really worried about him, and once it got that high we was like, right, he needs to see an emergency doctor, and he did, and they told us that he had virus in his stomach, his ears and his throat, so he'd been really, really poorly. But we was just like, oh well, at least, if it's going to happen, at least it's the run up to Christmas and not full-fledged Christmas, and he could be better for Christmas Day and actually really enjoy the day, and that's what we was hoping for, and sure enough he did. On Christmas Eve he seemed so much better, so we were really excited that he'd get to enjoy his Christmas Day. However, Christmas Eve then Killian started being really poorly, well, not really, really poorly straight away, but just like very unsettled and really cryy, and that night he just didn't want to sleep, and we just assumed that he'd probably picked up the virus from Archie. But it quickly became apparent that the symptoms that Archie had and the symptoms that Killian was now showing was not the same thing. Then come Christmas Day he just slept a lot, and then if he wasn't sleeping he was, really quite unsettled and quite teary and just wanted lots of cuddles, and couldn't settle very easily. But then by the 27th of December, his breathing was just bad, and he had a wheeze that started becoming really worrying. We noticed that he'd stopped going for a poo. Sorry, there's no really nice way to say that. But he'd stopped pooing, and it had been a couple of days since he'd pooed, and we just assumed that that's because he'd gone off his solids. He does normally have 3 meals a day, and he'll have snacks or whatever, because we do baby led weaning and a few like fruit purees and things. So we thought that was probably what it was, is the fact that he wasn't eating like he was before, so that was probably why he wasn't pooing anymore. But very, very quickly after that we was like, well, he's not really wetting his nappies either, which was a big concern. Obviously because of hydration, because he wasn't really feeding off of me very well either. I mean, he would every now and again, but he wouldn't sit and have a proper feed from me like he usually would. So that was really concerning as well, obviously, about possible dehydration. So we took him to the out of hours doctors, and they sent us straight to the hospital. And I went up with him, and his dad stayed with Archie. And I was just basically telling them, that he's not really wetting his nappies, he's not pooed for days, he's not eating any solids, he's not really drinking a great deal, and he has this wheeze, and they looked him over, and basically they said it was probably bronchiolitis. They also told me that they gave him sprays, steroid sprays in his throat, that would also help with the pain in his throat, and they were saying that hopefully that would get him to start eating again. So they gave him the spray, and I tried to feed him and he wouldn't take it, and they then told me that because of him not taking food, he'd have to be tube fed, which just scared the life out of me, and I just wouldn't then stop trying to feed him and trying to feed him, and just basically held him doing that. And he to be all honest, he wasn't interested at all. They gave us some demineralised water and a syringe that I had to keep on putting into his mouth, and just really trying to keep him hydrated. And it was, in all honesty, awful, because he was so poorly, he was so upset, he had temperatures, and he cried, and you just, when babies are like that anyway, and they're obviously very unsettled as it is, to them be in hospital with other children round. I mean, I did actually try and film a little bit while we were in a side room, but once he was admitted, we was then just in a ward with other children, and I didn't then film anymore, because obviously you've got to understand that other people are there with their poorly children as well, and don't really want cameras pointing at them, and that's fine. So yeah, I didn't get to do a great deal of filming, and the footage that I did get, then if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that the footage that I did have over Christmas up until New Year, I started it for New Year, but the footage from Christmas until New Year, I'd been filming as normal, and then came out of the hospital, tried to edit things to realise that I had no sound. So that was devastating, to say the least. So yeah, I did try and film a bit while we was in a side room, but like I say, there was just no sound to that. But another thing that I haven't really spoken about with Killian is he, whenever there's anything that happens with Killian, I mean, I think with any parents and any child, when they're ill or anything, you panic anyway, or at least I do. And I have always been a big panicker when it comes to the health of my children. But with Killian, it's slightly more worrying, because you jump to other ideas. Because, like I say, I haven't really spoken about this, but Killian was born with a connective tissue syndrome, and we don't know a great deal about that, because doctors don't know a great deal about it either. And he's going to have to undergo tests shortly and everything to find out what it all means for him, basically, and any line of treatment or anything like that, which is just very, very scary. So when anything happens like that, where he gets ill, I think, oh my God, is it because of this? And you just instantly start going crazy in your own head, thinking, right, this is going to be something serious, and you really panic, and I did over Christmas, and obviously over his hospital stay was just an absolute mess, and to have to do it on my own, I mean, that's nobody's fault that we have other children that need looking after, so that's obviously the reason why his dad had to stay home. But the fact that it was a case of doing it on my own as well, and having no one there to reassure me and say he's going to be fine, and your mind does just run wild with you, and I think that that's just a mum thing. But yeah, because he has this other condition, it is just that slightly bit scarier, because you just don't know whether it's due to anything a little bit more serious than just your viruses and your bugs. And so yeah, that was a worry. But not to get too deep there. So some other things that I wanted to tell you about over the December month that I ended up completely missing. So yeah, that was our Christmas. It wasn't fantastic. Come the new year, he'd really started to pick up his treatment, had helped, and I mean, he was still on steroids and everything at home, but you know, he was doing a lot better and he seemed a lot happier. You know, we were starting to get more and more smiles out of him. I'd say even now he's probably not 100% his self, he's not fantastic, but he is definitely over the worst, and we're seeing a lot more of his smiles, and you know, he's wanting to play a lot more, and he's just generally a lot happier, and peas and poo's fine. So yeah, he's doing a lot better. So in other news of December that I wanted to share with everybody was, if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I several times had to take my theory test as I am learning to drive, because Archie's school is actually 2 bus rides away, so every day it's 4 buses, so that's a big thing. We ended up moving after he was accepted to that school, which, you know, wasn't a problem, because it was a case of, you know, he's in a really fantastic school, and the extra travel is worth it for him to be in that school. But it would just obviously make the extra travel that little bit easier if it didn't mean that extra travel was on public transport. So I mean, I did want to drive anyway beforehand, but this was like my push to like, right, we have to get serious about this now. And I really struggled with my theory. I didn't expect to, but I really did. And I ended up having to do it 6 or 7 times. And every time I'd done it, I failed by a mark. And it was absolutely crushing every time to it only be a mark. And I could never get my head around it, how I was so many times failing by a single mark. It just didn't make sense to me. And it really frustrated me. So yeah, but on the 16th of December, I finally passed my theory test, and I was so like over the top excited about it, because out of all the times I've done it, there was other times where I was like, oh, yeah, I've passed that, because obviously you can flag the questions that you're not sure on. So I'd flagged the ones that I thought, right, I know that one, but it could possibly be this. And a few times I'd only had like 3 or 4 that I thought that I was unsure on, and still failed. So it's like, right, okay, so I think I know things that I don't. But this particular time that I passed on the 16th of December, I literally sat there like tears in my eyes and everything when it got to like question 17, because it was like, I don't feel like I have any of this right. And I got to the end of the test and I had 17 questions flagged up, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to pass it. But I went through all the 17 again, and whittled it down into 9 questions that I was still unsure of, and just thought, right, that is as good as it's going to get. That is, you know, I'm going to run out of time. I'm just going to have to really keep my fingers crossed. And basically what I was just trying to do in that time and looking at the flagged questions wasn't because I thought I could answer them differently and pass. It was just a case of I wanted to remember them so I could go home and study those questions. So basically that's all I was hoping for, was just to remember as many of the things that I didn't know as I could. And I sat there like all teary-eyed thinking, I failed again, I'm going to have to do it again. And then I passed, and it was just amazing. And the 16th of December was my dad's birthday as well, so that was even more exciting. And I sat at the computer number 19, which is my dad's favourite number. So it was just like, I felt like that was a good omen for me. And I genuinely, out of all the times of doing it, didn't think I was going to pass. And I did, so that was absolutely amazing. So now I am starting a bulk load of lessons on the 16th right up until February, which is then when I will do my test. So fingers crossed that that is all going to go really well. and it's not going to take me like 7 or 8 times to do the practical side of things as well. So yeah, that was amazing for me as well, and all of my family, everyone was like, you know, rooting for me and really upset for me as well every time that I'd failed. So it was fantastic to finally get there as well, for everybody else. So yeah, I think that is probably is there anything else in December that I want to say? No, I think that's pretty much it. But I hope everybody had a fantastic December period and enjoyed their Christmas and New Year. I do have New Year footage coming that's going to be like a little introduction to my family. They are a crazy bunch, but they are all lovely, lovely people. Just a little bit unhinged. But so you get to have a look into that. And I have said it before, and other things have come up that obviously, like with the kids getting ill, that's just something that you can't foresee, unfortunately. So I have said it before that videos are going to be on here, and it just hasn't come up. But I now promise that this is going to be a regular occurrence, and that I have other videos to follow that I hope you're all going to watch and really enjoy. So thanks for sitting and having a catch up with me, and I really hope that you like this video, and I hope that you're looking forward to the rest to come that aren't going to be long. It's just a case of tweaking some edits here and there, because I have, you know, a few new things equipment wise, so it's sort of a learning curve all over again now. So hopefully they're just teething problems, and you know, it shall all go fine. So yeah, there's just a couple of things to tweak editing wise, but there should be several videos all ready to go up. So I'm really excited, and I hope you all enjoy them. Have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.